What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the Two-Wheeled Rider YouTube channel. My name is Mario Orsini, and I had planned to start out today's video by telling you I was going to review the best communication system Cardo makes, and arguably the best on the market, the PackTalk Bold. And I went on their website earlier to just double check the price of this and found out they just came out with the PackTalk Black Special Edition. More on that later in the video. All right, so these PackTalk Bolds, I bought mine from Industry 13. Huge shout out to Roman and Samantha. Notice I got your t-shirt on. They hooked me up on a few sets of these, and I say a few sets because I'm gonna show you what's in this box, but I've already used 2 of them. Actually bought some for some friends. And when I say hook me up, I still had to pay for them. They just gave me a good deal. So anyway, thank you guys. Just a few highlights on these things. Number one, they're supposed to be good in absolute perfect conditions. So, you know, like riding through the middle of Death Valley, up to a mile. Real life conditions, you're probably looking at somewhere between about a half mile, 7/10 of a mile, which is still really good range on them. If you buy the Duo Pack, they come pre-synced, so you don't have to do anything. You can sync up to 15 of them with 15 other comms units, riders, however you want to look at it. If you're including passengers, obviously it wouldn't be 15 riders, but up to 15 if you have that many friends. I don't think I do. In addition to being able to hook up your smartphone or MP3 player, GPS, or whatever you're hooking up to it, for music purposes, you can also listen to FM radio. That is built in. You have what they call, like, I forget what they call it, like smart audio, which is kind of cool. If you're listening to your music and your passenger or your fellow rider starts talking to you, you don't have to pick either or, like, and I'll talk about the comms units I used to have. It'll just dim your music down a little bit so you can hear their voice, and once you guys are done with your conversation, your music goes back up. The other thing that's kind of cool, if you're going in through town or you just got off the interstate and you're coming to a stop sign, stoplight, something like that, and you had that music blasting because you were doing 80 miles an hour, it will automatically lower it to the speed, which I thought at first was going to be annoying, but it actually works extremely well. The other neat thing about them is they do come, there is an app. Cardo's got a great app, so if you want to sync those things up before a big ride, super easy to do versus, you know, the old school method of like holding in the button and it's daisy chained out. In this case, with their dynamic mesh technology, if one of the riders drops out, it doesn't break the chain. They rejoin, they pop right back in, which is super helpful. They're not the only ones that have this, but this is my first experience with this. Absolutely loved it. They also have pass-through charging. So, you know, if you run out of the claimed 13 hours of talk time, you can just plug it into your bike while you're going down the road, assuming you have a power outlet or USB outlet to plug it into, continue to use it while it's charging, which is pretty nice. Next up, I'm going to show you what's in the box, what you get along with it, and then I'm going to kind of share my thoughts and experiences with these units and kind of compare and contrast to what I was previously running. Okay, so what do you get in the box? Now, once again, like I said, this is the Duo Pack, so if you're just to get a single pack, you're only going to get one of these. Speaking of the Duo Pack, this runs about 600 retail, where the singles run 340. So if you've got a buddy that's looking for a comm unit, even if you don't need 2, that's a good way to save some money. So we crack this thing open over on this side. Here's what you get inside. First off, you get your 2 comm units. These things pretty intuitive to use. I'll talk more about that when I talk about my thoughts on them. Take this plate or this tray out. You got a nice little sticker here. You've got a couple of pocket guides. Now, if you do buy a Duo Pack with a buddy of yours, you only get one of these each in English, but you can always look up the PDFs online. Pretty easy to get to the instructions. You also have one here in some additional languages. You've got your normal paperwork that comes along with it. Installation guide. I'll talk about installation here in a few moments, but super easy. And then again, this is a Duo unit, so I'm only going to open up one of these because it's the same in both pack. Inside here, you get your charging / data cable. This comes in handy, not just for charging, but also when you need to update the unit with firmware updates. You've got a couple of Velcro sticky back pads if you need to adjust where your speakers are in your helmet. You've got a Velcro pad here, which I'll talk about in just a second. You got some alcohol to wipe down before putting the sticky stuff on. You've got your microphone. This is your wired microphone. So this is what you would use most people would use on a full face helmet. That's what I used on my Shoei RF1200. You've got your JBL 40mm speakers. This was one of the changes they made in 2019. They gave you the JBL higher quality speakers, 40mm. These are actually really good speakers. You've got your base mounting plate here that goes on the side of your helmet. You've got a couple of options to mount that. You can clip it on by using this clip, or if you want, you can use the sticky back and mount it on that way. Totally up to you how you want to do it. And then if you do have a modular helmet or an open face helmet of some sort, you have the boom mic, so you can use this instead of using the wired mic. I'm sure this mic works well. I haven't tried it out because, like I said, I use the full face one. These are just additional, like the other sticky back. These are for putting the speakers in the helmet. If you don't have Velcro in there already, you can pop these in. The speakers will Velcro to the back of those. And like I said, if you need to make adjustments, they included a couple of additional pads that will stick on as well. These are sticky back and then Velcro on this side. So pretty simple. All right, so one thing I want to mention before I talk about my experience with not just these Cardos, but just comm units in general. I did mention in the beginning of the video, Cardo has come out with the Cardo PackTalk Black Special Edition. There's only two differences between that and this unit. Number one, they come with the 45mm JBL speakers as opposed to the 40mm, so that's an upgrade. Number two, they come with a 3-year warranty instead of a 2-year warranty. They'll also run you about an extra $50. They list for about $390. As of recording this video, you can't save any money buying a duo pack like you can with these because they don't sell a duo pack. Maybe they'll come out with one later, but like I said, as of today, not available. Now those JBL speakers, you could upgrade, the regular ones with those JBL speakers if you want. That's about a $90 upgrade. So if you think you want a little bit higher quality speaker, then go ahead and buy the Black Edition, because not only will you save about $40 in getting those speakers included with it, you also get the extra year warranty. So totally leave that up to you. But I'll talk about these speakers here in a minute, and you may or may not decide you need the 45mm from JBL. So I've always run Senas in the past. I've been running them probably 6-7 years at least at this point, and I started out with the SMH10, which was their top of the line back when they first came out. Never really had any complaints out of them. After quite a few years, mine finally started to crap out. My dad had bought the 10S from Sena. He bought a duo pack, wasn't using the other one, so I used that, and it'd been pretty good. And then a company sent me some upgraded speakers, Uasis, I believe it is. I made a video on it. I'll link it up here. But that really made the headset that much better because those speakers are unbelievably louder, more bass, better sound quality, better, your music sounds better, like everything. But I decided on this upcoming motorcycle trip, my sister wanted to try. She's never had comm units, and we'll have her on in a few minutes to share her thoughts. But I decided, I want them to all be the same. I want to try out the Cardos. And after listening to Adventure Rider Radio, and I think he had like the head Cardo guy on there, I was listening to him. One of the things that stood out is these units meet a much tougher weatherproof rating than the Senas do. They're actually like a waterproof rating on them. And he talked about how, we're not speaker people, we're comms people. So that's why we kind of subbed that out to JBL. And I've got some friends that have been running them. I've heard only good things. So I thought, well, I'm buying new ones, might as well try these. So I'm actually really impressed by them. The first thing is I was a little worried because I'd always used Sena. I'd always had the dial. That was something that I was totally comfortable with. Now I got to learn a new button layout on the side of the helmet, but it was totally intuitive. It probably took me 20 minutes until I had it down pat. Also, when you buy the duo pack, I mentioned this, they come pre-synced, so you don't have to do anything. The fact that, and I know Sena just came out with their 50 series, and I was gonna buy those. But their direct, is my understanding, like their mesh technology only works within, their little operating system. So it's got to be all Sena. Not that you can't Bluetooth in to the Cardos, you can, but it's my understanding that they don't all work together. Where Cardo will allow you to have other comm units direct mesh in through their app. I could be wrong on that, but that's my understanding of it. Additionally, The only other thing that, seemingly made the Senas better is that they're running the newest version of Bluetooth, where this one's like a half a step behind, but I don't think it really makes that much of a difference. So sound quality, I'm not going to say that these speakers are as good as those aftermarket ones I put in my Rye helmet with the Sena, but they're good. I mean, I really have no complaints out of them. I guess if you wanted more bass, if you're like an audiophile, maybe bump up to the 45 millimeter, maybe buy the black ones. But I had no complaints out of them. I mean, it's clear as could be. I mean, we're going through the Midwest at, 80 miles an hour. Sometimes I have my visor popped open. I can hear everything fine. I can hear my sister's voice very cleanly. I could hear my music great. On my old school ones, you had a choice. You could either listen, you could either talk on intercom or you could listen to music, and you had to hit a button to go back and forth. I love the fact, and I know this technology's been out for a while, that I could still have my music playing while I'm talking, and it would just auto adjust once the conversation was over. So that was nice. Range on them, we did go out and test them before we left. When you get into heavily wooded areas, you're probably a little bit less than, when I say heavily wooded, not straight areas, like heavily wooded and twisty areas, you're probably not getting quite a half-mile range, but it's close to that. On this trip that, we use these things for about 5,000 miles on the most recent trip, there was never once that we were out of range with each other. So it was very clear, didn't really matter the speed. She could hear me, I could hear her. And on her first big cross-country trip, and maybe she'll talk about this, the fact that we communicate, I felt better being able to talk to her when we get into more congested areas, if there was something in the roadway, like that sort of thing. So really, really liked it. Now, if I've got a couple of nitpicks, and these are nitpicks. One, they said the talk time on it was about 13 hours. Some of the days it seemed that way, and there were a couple of days that at about 4 o'clock, and we probably started riding at 7 or 8 in the morning, I would get the low battery warning. That said, we could ride a couple more hours. It never did shut off. So I don't know if there's a firmware update I need to do, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I've set something to give me a warning a little bit earlier. I don't think so. They never did shut off, but that was a little annoying hearing that, hey, this thing, low battery, but again, it kept running. The other annoyance, and I'll pull this out of here real quick. All right, so anyway, this is what I wanted to show you. This is my annoyance. This is the cable that comes with it. Technically, there's nothing wrong with this cable. It works fine. I did my firmware updates. You can charge them with this. But I mentioned early in the video it had pass-through charging. So the first time I got that low battery warning, I was like, okay, well, next stop I'll plug it in because I want to make sure I can still continue to communicate with my sister riding down the road. Look how long this thing is. I mean, what is it, like 18 inches? Unless, at least on my KTM, like the power outlet is up in, on the front of the bike. Unless I were to lay my head down on the handlebars, there's no way this thing is going to stretch so I can continue to, keep the unit running while it's charging. So, it's just a micro USB. I ended up stopping at a gas station and buying, like, I don't remember, it was a 3 or 4 foot cable. Like, it was long, so I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But if you are, the purpose of me saying this, if you're going to be riding like super long days, like maybe you're going to go out and do an iron butt ride or something like that, and you're going to need the pass-through charging, for about $10 you can pick up a better cable than this. I also picked up one that was braided that ought to last a long time. That way you don't have to worry about that thing dying on you, midway through your ride or whatever. Those are really my only nitpicks. I mean, the things worked great. They were flawless aside from, again, just my nitpicks. That's why, I bought one for me and my sister. I bought one for my buddy Pete, who, is going to come with us on a wild and wonderful weekend ride, and I got another spare one here. These things are absolutely awesome. If you're looking to upgrade your comm units, I would definitely look into these. If you've never had comm units, just spend the money and get these, or the black model. I mean, it's up to you. If, like I said, if you want a little bit higher quality speaker, but these speakers sounded great to me. Now, I wasn't bumping like, rap music or anything. I was listening to my country music the entire time, and it sounded fine. So anyway, those are my thoughts on it. I'm gonna bring my sister in to sit in the hot seat for just a few moments, get her thoughts on them, and then we'll wrap up the video.
Really liked the headset that we used. I wasn't used to having a headset in my helmet ever, so it was nice to have in there. As far as on the trip with Mario, it was easy to talk to. We didn't really drop out. There were times, obviously, where we'd get separated a little bit, and when I'd come up on him, you kind of hear it kick back in, then you knew you were within range and could talk to each other again. Synced up to my phone, great, so I just set the playlist up and had something to listen to. I didn't use the Siri capabilities through my phone a whole lot on the trip. I did when I was out riding by myself, testing it out, making phone calls on it and stuff, and everything worked pretty well. It was pretty easy to use, and it was really convenient.
All right, guys, so that's my sister's thoughts. Now, one thing I didn't mention was the ease of installation. I showed you that clamp at the beginning. I'm not going to show you how to install one. It's going to be different helmet by helmet. Probably 5, maybe 10 minutes. It's probably about 5 minutes to install. You just want to make sure you get those speakers, one, where you can hear them really well, and two, where they're not rubbing on your ear. So anyway, those are our thoughts on the Cardo PackTalk Bold. I think I finally got that name right. Excellent units, highly recommend them. Listen, they'll probably come out with 6 new ones before I ever upgrade again, because I don't typically upgrade these things until they stop working. And if they're anything like my Cenas were, they're gonna last years. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you did, please give it a big thumbs up. If you're not a subscriber, consider hitting that subscribe button, because if you like motorcycles, well, this is the place to be. If you have any questions about these units or my experience with them, maybe something I didn't cover, something you'd like a little bit more detail on, be sure to let me know in the comment section below. I'll do my best to answer them. And as always, I'll talk to you again soon.